What the human thought was a treasure turned out to be a buried alien girl. The sandstorm howled across the Sahara like a living thing, but Liam refused to abandon his search. Not when his sensors were going crazy with readings unlike anything he'd seen in 15 years of hunting ancient artifacts. The electromagnetic signature pulsed beneath 20 feet of sand, defying every natural explanation. He adjusted his goggles and protective gear, checking the seals one final time. The modified ground-penetrating radar unit strapped to his back whined as it fought against the interference. Whatever lay buried here was actively affecting his equipment, a clear sign he was onto something big. "Just hold together a little longer," Liam muttered, patting the machine. The storm grew stronger, sand particles pelting his protective clothing like tiny bullets. He'd dismissed his guide hours ago when the weather turned dangerous, but Liam knew better than to waste an opportunity like this. Storms revealed things in the desert, shifting centuries of accumulated sand to expose secrets below. The radar's pitch changed suddenly, drawing his attention to a metallic glint in the sand. Liam dropped to his knees, brushing away loose particles with practiced efficiency. His heart raced as more of the object became visible. Smooth, curved metal, unlike anything that should exist in a place this old. Hours passed in a blur of careful excavation. The storm began to die down just as Liam uncovered enough to confirm his suspicions. This was no ordinary archaeological find. The pod, there was no other word for it, stretched nearly 8 feet long, its surface an impossible mirror-smooth finish despite centuries of sand erosion. Liam's hands trembled as he wiped away more sand, revealing elegant script etched into the metal. The characters were like nothing he'd ever seen. Certainly not Egyptian or any other ancient Earth language. His suspicions crystallized into certainty. He was looking at something that wasn't from Earth. "Holy shit," he breathed, voice barely audible over the dying wind. "You're actually real." The pod's surface was cool to the touch, despite the desert heat. As Liam cleared more sand, he discovered what appeared to be a control panel near the head of the pod. Intricate patterns decorated the metal around it, reminiscent of circuit boards, but far more organic in design. His fingers brushed across the panel, tracing the alien patterns. Without warning, lights flickered beneath the surface, spreading out in a web of soft blue illumination. Liam jerked his hand back, but it was too late. The pod was activating. A seam appeared down the length of the pod, accompanied by a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. Liam's heart pounded as he realized what was happening. This wasn't just an alien artifact, it was a stasis chamber, and whatever was inside was about to come out. The top of the pod began to lift, releasing a cloud of silvery vapor. Liam stumbled back, his training warring with curiosity. He should call this in, get a team out here, notify the proper authorities. Instead, he found himself moving closer, drawn by the mystery of what lay within. As the vapor cleared, Liam caught his first glimpse of the pod's occupant. His breath caught in his throat. Lying in the cushioned interior was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, if she could be called a woman. Her skin was a pale, ethereal green that seemed to glow with its own inner light. Cascading white hair framed delicate features that were almost, but not quite, human. She wore only what appeared to be a translucent bodysuit, clearly designed for stasis rather than modesty. Her eyes snapped open, revealing iridescent purple irises that locked onto Liam with an intensity that made him forget how to breathe. She sat up with fluid grace, the stasis suit shimmering in the desert sun. A stream of musical syllables poured from her lips as she reached toward him with one elegant hand. Liam stood frozen, all his years of experience and training useless in the face of this impossible moment. He'd come to the desert seeking treasure, expecting gold or artifacts. Instead, he'd found something far more precious and far more dangerous. The alien woman's fingers brushed against Liam's chest, sending an electric tingle through his body. Her touch was impossibly soft, yet he could feel strength beneath the gentleness. More melodic sounds spilled from her lips as she studied him with those mesmerizing purple eyes. "I don't understand," Liam said, fighting to keep his voice steady. The translucent stasis suit left little to imagination, and he forced his gaze to remain on her face. "Do you speak English? Any Earth language?" She tilted her head, white hair cascading over one shoulder. Her free hand moved to her throat, where a small device was integrated into the collar of her suit. She pressed it, and a soft blue light pulsed. When she spoke again, her words emerged in accented but clear English. My universal translator needed calibration to your specific dialect. Her voice carried an otherworldly musical quality that made Liam's spine tingle. I am grateful for your assistance in awakening me. The pod's systems were failing. Liam's professional instincts finally kicked in. How long have you been down there? By your planet's orbital cycles, she paused, processing. Approximately 412 years. My ship was damaged during an exploratory mission. The pod was designed to keep me alive until rescue arrived. Her expression fell slightly. They never came. She attempted to stand but stumbled, her legs weak from centuries of disuse. Liam caught her instinctively, and she pressed against him for support. Her skin was fever-warm, and the scent of her was intoxicating, like desert flowers and ozone after a storm. Careful, he murmured, hyper-aware of every point of contact between them. Take it slow. My body requires time to fully revive. She made no attempt to pull away from his support. I am Nira, and you are? Liam. He helped her sit on the edge of the pod, trying to focus on practical matters rather than the way her suit caught the sunlight. Listen, Nira, we need to move. This site isn't safe. There are people who monitor these areas for unusual activity, and your pod definitely qualifies. As if to emphasize his point, a distant engine sound carried across the dunes. Nira's head snapped toward it, her entire body tensing. Military aircraft, she said, her translator giving the words a clipped edge. Your species is still primitive enough to be dangerous to those who are different. Not all of us, Liam protested, but he was already gathering his essential gear. Can you walk? Nira pushed herself up, swaying slightly but remaining upright. I will manage. She pressed another control on her suit, and portions of it shifted, becoming more opaque in strategic areas while remaining form-fitting. Your atmosphere's radiation levels are safe enough. This will suffice for now. The engine sound grew louder. Liam's hand found Nira's, and she intertwined her fingers with his without hesitation. Her skin was silk smooth against his calloused palm. My camp is hidden in the rocks 2 kilometers east, he said. We can rest there, figure out our next move. You would shelter me? Nira's purple eyes searched his face. You know nothing about me or my kind. I know you needed help, and I was there to give it. Liam squeezed her hand gently. The rest we can figure out together. A smile curved her lips, revealing teeth that were just a bit too white, too perfect to be human. Perhaps your species has evolved more than our surveys suggested. She stepped closer, her free hand rising to trace the line of his jaw. You are certainly full of surprises, Liam. The aircraft sound was almost overhead now. Liam reluctantly pulled away from her touch, tugging her toward the eastern dunes. As they began their careful trek across the sand, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just volunteered for the most dangerous and exciting adventure of his life. The hidden camp was little more than a natural cave formation enhanced with modern amenities, but to Nira it seemed to be a source of endless fascination. She ran her fingers over the solar panels and communication equipment while Liam secured the entrance. Primitive yet ingenious, she mused, examining a satellite uplink. You adapt your limited technology remarkably well. Liam couldn't help but smile at her combination of genuine interest and subtle condescension. We make do. Here, you should drink something. He offered her a canteen of water, watching as she studied it before taking a careful sip. Your bodies are mostly water, like ours, she said, drinking more deeply. Though your sun is harsh, my skin adapts to radiation levels, but I sense you burn easily here. Hence all the protective gear. Liam began removing his desert equipment, watching as Nira explored the cave. Her movements were growing more confident as her body recovered from stasis, each gesture carrying an innate grace that made even simple actions seem like a dance. You have questions, she said suddenly, turning to face him. The cave's dim lighting made her pale green skin seem to glow. I see them in your eyes when you watch me. About 1 million, Liam admitted, but I'm trying not to interrogate you right after you wake up from a 4-century nap. Nira moved closer, her head tilting in that distinctly alien way. Your consideration is appreciated, but unnecessary. Ask. Why were you really here? The question had been burning in his mind since she'd mentioned her ship. A simple exploration mission doesn't usually involve crash landing and hiding in stasis. Something flickered in those purple eyes. You are more perceptive than most of your kind. She stepped even closer, close enough that Liam could feel the warmth radiating from her skin. My mission was complicated. There are things about your world that interested my people greatly. What kinds of things? Instead of answering, Naira reached up to trace the line of his collarbone where his shirt had fallen open. Your species is fascinating, so young yet so complex, driven by such powerful emotions. Her fingers trailed up to his neck, sending shivers down his spine. Like now, your pulse has quickened, your pupils are dilated. Simple biological responses, yet they reveal so much. Liam caught her wrist gently, but didn't push her hand away. You're deflecting. Yes, she smiled, showing those two perfect teeth again. Another fascinating thing about humans, you notice such details even when distracted. A distant explosion interrupted the moment. They both turned toward the cave entrance, where a faint orange glow lit the horizon. Nira's expression hardened. They are searching the pod site, she said. Your military is persistent. That's not the military. Liam moved to his equipment, pulling out high-powered binoculars. The military would be more subtle. This is someone else. Through the binoculars, he could make out several black vehicles surrounding the excavation site. Men in tactical gear were setting up equipment that looked far too advanced for standard archaeology. Someone else knew about you, he said, lowering the binoculars. Someone who's been looking for a long time. Nira's hand came to rest on his shoulder, her touch sending warmth through his body, despite the tension of the moment. Then perhaps it is time I told you the truth about my mission. But Liam... She turned him to face her, both hands framing his face. Once I do, you will be drawn into something far more dangerous than hunting ancient treasures. Are you certain you wish to know? Liam covered one of her hands with his own, marveling at how natural it felt despite her alien warmth and texture. I was in the moment I opened that pod. She drew closer until her breath mingled with his. Then let me show you what I truly am. Her eyes began to glow with an inner light, and Liam felt himself falling into their purple depths as the world around him transformed. The cave dissolved around them as Naira's memories flowed into Liam's mind. He saw vast cities of crystalline towers stretching into purple skies, spacecraft that seemed to be grown rather than built, and war, endless war against a darkness that consumed entire worlds. We are the Guardians, Naira's voice echoed in his consciousness. For millennia, we have fought to protect younger species from threats they cannot comprehend. Images of Earth appeared, but not the Earth Liam knew. This was Earth 4 centuries ago, when her ship had arrived. He saw through her eyes as she discovered something buried deep in the Sahara, something ancient and malevolent. The entity you call the Sahara Desert is not natural, she continued. It is a prison created eons ago to contain something that nearly destroyed your world before your species had even evolved. My mission was to ensure the prison remained intact. The vision shifted to show her ship under attack by dark shapes that defied description. The crash. The desperate activation of her stasis pod as the prison's defenses reacted to the presence of both her ship and their pursuers. Reality snapped back into focus. Liam stumbled, steadied by Naira's strong hands. His mind reeled from the implications of what he'd seen. The desert itself is alive, his voice was hoarse. Everything I've been finding, the artifacts, the readings, are symptoms of the prison's deterioration. Nira's eyes had returned to their normal luminescence. Your treasure hunting activities drew my attention centuries ago. We knew humans would eventually notice the anomalies. I was sent to prevent premature discovery. But you crashed. Liam's hand found her waist, pulling her closer almost unconsciously. You've been sleeping all this time while the prison weakened. Her fingers traced patterns on his chest, sending shivers through him despite the seriousness of their conversation. Those men out there, they serve the entity. Throughout human history, it has influenced certain individuals, drawing them to it, creating cults of followers who seek to free it. Liam thought of the rival treasure hunter who had been following his work for years, always seeming to know where he would dig next. Marcus? Yes. Naira's body pressed against his, seeking warmth or comfort or both. He is one of many, They sensed my awakening. Now they come, hoping to use my knowledge to break the seals completely. Why show me all this? Liam's hand slid up her back, feeling the silken texture of her skin through the translucent suit. Why trust me? Naira's purple eyes met his, filled with an emotion he couldn't quite read. Because you woke me, Liam. Of all the humans who might have found my pod, it was you. The one person who has spent years studying the prison's artifacts without succumbing to its influence. Her hand cupped his cheek. My people believe that nothing in the universe is truly random. Our meeting was ordained. Instead of answering, she kissed him. Her lips were impossibly soft, tasting of exotic spices and desert wind. Liam pulled her tighter against him, all thoughts of ancient prisons and cosmic wars forgotten in the heat of her touch. Her fingers tangled in his hair as the kiss deepened, her body molding to his as if they were meant to fit together. When they finally parted, both breathing heavily, Naira's skin was glowing with a faint phosphorescence. I have waited centuries to find you, she whispered against his lips, the one human who could help me complete my mission. How? Liam struggled to think clearly with her pressed against him. What can I do against something that powerful? The prison can only be resealed by combining Guardian technology with human consciousness. Her fingers traced his jaw. We must join fully, mind, body, and spirit. Only then will we have the power to prevent what's coming. Another explosion rocked the desert, closer this time. Naira's expression hardened, though she made no move to leave Liam's embrace. They are getting closer, she said. We have little time. Will you join with me, Liam? Will you help me save your world, knowing it will change you forever? Liam answered by pulling her into another kiss, this one fierce and hungry. When they parted, he rested his forehead against hers. Show me how. Naira smiled, her entire body beginning to glow with otherworldly light. Then let me teach you what it means to truly become one with a guardian. The cave filled with shimmering light as Naira's body began to transform. Her stasis suit seemed to melt away, replaced by swirling patterns of luminescence that danced across her pale green skin. The air grew thick with energy, making Liam's skin tingle wherever they touched. The joining of guardian and human has never been attempted, she whispered, her voice taking on harmonics that made his bones vibrate. But I have watched you from my dreams, Liam. I have seen your heart, your spirit. You are ready. Her fingers traced glowing patterns on his chest, burning away his shirt without pain. Everywhere she touched, his skin began to shine with the same otherworldly light that emanated from her. The sensation was indescribable, like electricity and fire and pure pleasure all at once. Your minds must be completely open, Naira continued, pressing herself against him. Your barriers must fall. Everything you are, everything you have been, flowing into one consciousness. Liam gasped as the first wave of joining hit him. Naira's memories flooded his mind, centuries of watching humanity through the quantum field of her stasis dreams. He saw himself through her eyes, felt her longing as she observed his relentless search for truth among the desert's secrets. You knew, he managed between waves of sensation. All those times I felt like something was guiding me. I called to you. Her lips brushed his neck, leaving trails of light. Even in stasis, my essence reached for yours, and you answered again and again, though you didn't understand why. Their auras began to merge, purple and gold light swirling together in impossible patterns. Liam felt his consciousness expanding, touching realms of existence he had never imagined. Nira's alien knowledge poured into him, the quantum mathematics of reality, the ancient tongues of power, the true nature of space and time. But it wasn't just knowledge flowing between them. Every touch, every kiss, every caress built the energy higher. Their bodies moved together in perfect synchronization as if they had been lovers for centuries rather than hours. Physical pleasure merged with spiritual ecstasy until Liam could no longer tell where he ended and Naira began. Through their merged consciousness, he sensed the desert prison stirring. The entity trapped within felt their power and raged against its bonds. Dark tendrils of its influence reached for them, trying to corrupt their union. Focus on me, Naira commanded, her voice echoing through multiple dimensions. Feel only us. The darkness cannot touch what we are becoming. The cave filled with blinding light as their joining reached its peak. Liam felt himself transforming, becoming something more than human. Naira's guardian essence merged with his DNA, rewriting him at the quantum level. Their unified consciousness expanded to encompass the entire desert, sensing every grain of sand, every ancient seal, every dark tendril of the entity's influence. When the light finally faded, they lay entangled, both of them glowing with residual energy. Liam's skin had taken on a slight iridescence, and he could feel new power thrumming through his veins. The connection between them remained, not the overwhelming merge of moments before, but a constant awareness of each other's presence. "The transformation is complete," Naira said softly, tracing the new patterns that shimmered beneath his skin. "You are the first of your kind, Liam, neither fully human nor guardian, but something new, something more." He caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. "I can feel everything, the desert, the prison, the darkness pushing against it." His new senses stretched out, mapping the approaching forces. Marcus is getting closer. He has something with him, something old, an artifact from the entity's original arrival. Nira's expression grew serious. "He means to use it as a key, breaking the final seals. We cannot let him reach the central chamber." Liam stood, marveling at how his body moved with new grace and strength. Energy crackled between his fingers as he helped Naira to her feet. "Then let's end this, together." She smiled, her purple eyes glowing with power and love. Together, as it was always meant to be. They emerged from the cave transformed. Naira, in her true guardian form, Liam radiating his new hybrid power. The desert winds swirled around them, responding to their combined will. In the distance, dark vehicles approached across the dunes, carrying those who would destroy everything to free their imprisoned master. The final battle for Earth's future was about to begin. The convoy of black vehicles stopped half a kilometer from their position. Through his enhanced senses, Liam could feel the wrongness emanating from them, particularly from the object in the lead vehicle. It pulsed with dark energy that made his new powers recoil. "The artifact he carries is a fragment of the entity itself," Naira said, her voice carrying through both air and their mental link. "Crystallized darkness from its first attempt to manifest on your world." Liam watched as figures emerged from the vehicles. He recognized Marcus immediately, the rival treasure hunter's expensive desert gear standing out among his black-clad mercenaries. But there was something different about him now. Dark energy writhed around his form, visible to Liam's transformed sight. "He's been corrupted," Liam said. "The entity's been changing him. As you have been changed by our union." Naira's hand found his, their energies synchronizing. "But where your transformation was born of love, his comes from corruption and hunger for power." Marcus's voice carried across the sand, unnaturally amplified. "I see the Guardian has already claimed you, Liam. Always so righteous, so sure you were meant for greater things." The dark energy around him pulsed. "But I found truth in the darkness. Real power." "The only truth you found was lies whispered by an imprisoned monster," Liam called back. Energy crackled between his fingers as he spoke, responding to his emotions. "Monster?" Marcus laughed, the sound distorted. "The only monsters are the ones who imprisoned a being of such power. The Guardians fear what they don't understand, what they can't control." He held up a jagged black crystal that seemed to devour the sunlight around it. "This showed me everything, humanity's true destiny." Naira stepped forward, her body blazing with purple light. "That destiny would be extinction. The entity devours worlds, corrupts species until they destroy themselves. Your mind is clouded by its influence." "Enough talk." Marcus gestured, and his mercenaries raised advanced weapons that hummed with dark energy. "The seals weaken, the prison cracks. With or without your cooperation, the Great One will rise." The mercenaries opened fire. Beams of corrupted energy lanced toward them, but Liam moved on instinct. He raised his hands, and a barrier of golden light sprang into existence. The dark energy splashed against it, unable to penetrate the shield born from his and Naira's combined power. "Your new powers grow stronger," Naira said appreciatively. Her own energy joined his, strengthening the barrier. "But we cannot stay defensive forever. The longer we wait, the more the prison weakens." Liam nodded, feeling the truth of her words in the desert beneath them. The entity's power was rising, corrupting everything it touched. They needed to act. Drawing on his connection to Naira, Liam reached out with his new senses. The desert responded to his call. centuries of guardian influence awakening to his transformed essence. Sand rose in massive waves, slamming into the mercenaries' positions. Vehicles toppled as the very ground turned against them. But Marcus stood untouched, the dark crystal creating a sphere of protection around him. His features had begun to shift, becoming less human as the entity's power reshaped him. "You feel it, don't you?" Marcus called, his voice resonating on multiple frequencies. "The power that could be yours. Join us, Liam. The Guardian has shown you only a fraction of what you could become." For a moment, Liam felt the entity's influence reaching for him, offering visions of godlike power. But Naira's touch anchored him, their joined energies burning away the darkness before it could take hold. "I've seen what that power does," Liam said. "I choose something stronger." He pulled Naira close, their auras flaring together. The kiss they shared wasn't just physical. Their energies combined into a nova of light that swept across the battlefield. Where it touched the mercenaries, the entity's corruption burned away. Men fell to their knees, freed from the dark influence that had controlled them. But Marcus only laughed, the sound now completely inhuman. The crystal in his hands pulsed with malevolent light. "So be it," he said, his form beginning to twist and grow, then witness the true power of the void. The crystal shattered in his hands, and darkness exploded outward. The last light of sunset seemed to vanish as Marcus's transformation began in earnest. The final confrontation was about to begin, and the fate of two worlds hung in the balance. The thing that had been Marcus towered above them, a writhing mass of darkness that blotted out the stars. Tendrils of void energy whipped across the sand, leaving trails of crystallized darkness in their wake. His human form was barely visible at the center of the mass, grotesquely stretched and distorted. "Beautiful, isn't it?" The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "This is what your precious guardians feared, pure, unlimited potential." Liam stood firm, Naira at his side. Their combined energy created a sphere of protection against the encroaching darkness. Through their link, he could feel her concern, not for themselves, but for how the entity's power was affecting the prison. "The seals are failing," she sent through their connection. "The prison cannot withstand this level of corruption for long. Then we end this quickly." Liam reached for the desert's power, channeling it through their bond. The sand beneath Marcus's twisted form erupted in pillars of golden light, the ancient guardian wards responding to their combined will. For a moment, the darkness recoiled, but Marcus's laugh only grew deeper, more resonant. "The old defenses cannot bind us anymore." Tentacles of void energy shattered the light pillars. "We are beyond such primitive constraints." A blast of pure darkness struck their shield, driving them back. Liam felt the cold trying to seep into his mind, showing him visions of power beyond imagination. Through their link, he sensed Naira experiencing the same temptation. Her hand found his, fingers intertwining. Where they touched, their energies merged more deeply. The cold retreated, burned away by something far stronger than darkness. "This is why the entity fears our union," Naira said, both aloud and through their connection. "Not guardian power alone, not human consciousness alone, but the two combined into something new, something it cannot corrupt." Understanding flooded through Liam. Every touch, every kiss, every moment of their joining had been preparation for this. Their love wasn't just an emotion, it was a force as real as gravity, a power the entity couldn't comprehend. More tendrils of darkness lashed at their shield, but now gold and purple energy spiraled outward in response. Where light met darkness, the void energy hissed and recoiled. The thing that had been Marcus roared in frustration. "Your love is nothing." The mass of darkness contracted, condensing into a more focused form. "A biological imperative, a chemical reaction. We offer transcendence." "You offer extinction," Liam said. He pulled Naira closer, their auras merging more completely. True transcendence comes from connection, not corruption. To demonstrate, he kissed her. But this wasn't like their first kisses, fueled by passion and discovery. This was a melding of souls, a union of two beings on every level of existence. Their energy exploded outward in a nova of purifying light. The darkness screamed, trying to shield itself. But light continued to pour from them in waves, burning away void energy wherever it touched. The entity's influence began to fade from the corrupted sand, from the fallen mercenaries, from the very air itself. Through it all, Liam and Naira remained locked in their embrace, their unified power growing stronger with each pulse of energy. In the darkness above them, Marcus's form began to collapse in on itself as the entity's grip weakened. No! The voice was more human now, tinged with desperation. You don't understand what you're refusing, the power we could share. We understand perfectly, Liam and Naira spoke in unison, their voices harmonizing across multiple dimensions, and we choose each other. With that declaration, they released the full potential of their combined essence. Light erupted from them in a column that pierced the heavens. The darkness around Marcus imploded, sucked back into the prison deep beneath the desert as the ancient wards reasserted themselves. Marcus's human form fell to the sand, unconscious but purged of the entity's influence. Around them, the corrupted mercenaries began to stir, freed from their dark contamination. But Liam hardly noticed. He was lost in Nira's eyes, in the sensation of their combined power flowing through both of them. They had touched something profound, something that transcended both their species. I understand now, he sent through their link. Why you waited so long, why it had to be like this. Yes, her mental touch was filled with love and wonder. But our task is not yet complete. The prison must be resealed, stronger than before. Are you ready? Liam's answer was both mental and physical as he drew her into another kiss. Their power began to build once more, preparing for the final stage of their mission. But now, there was no fear, no doubt. Together they could accomplish anything. The desert night was eerily still in the aftermath of battle. Liam and Naira stood at the center of a massive geometric pattern that had appeared in the sand, glowing lines of energy spreading outward from their position. Their combined power had revealed the true nature of the prison, a massive arcane machine that extended for miles beneath the Sahara. The original builders were ingenious, Naira sent through their link. They used the desert itself as a power source, each grain of sand a tiny battery storing guardian energy. Through their shared consciousness, Liam could see the complex quantum mathematics underlying the prison's construction. But they never expected it to last this long. The power's been draining for millennia. Which is why we must do more than simply repair it. Naira's body pressed against his back, her arms wrapping around his waist. Where they touched, energy crackled and merged. We must evolve it as we have evolved. Make it self-sustaining through our combined essence. Liam turned in her embrace, drawn to the otherworldly beauty of her face in the starlight. Her pale green skin seemed to shimmer with inner light, white hair floating in the energy field surrounding them. The simple act of looking at her filled him with power. "Show me how," he whispered, though words were becoming less necessary between them with each passing moment. Nira's response came in images and sensations. Their first task was to purge the remaining corruption from the prison systems. Together, they reached out with their unified consciousness, sensing the dark energy that still lingered in certain nodes of the pattern. As one being, they began to move across the geometric pattern. Each step was a dance, each touch a catalyst for transformation. Where their combined power touched the corrupted nodes, darkness burned away, replaced by swirling patterns of gold and purple light. "The entity is weakened," Naira sent as they worked, "but it remains conscious. Can you feel it watching us?" Liam could. Deep beneath the desert, something ancient and malevolent stirred, but its thoughts were clouded, confused. It couldn't comprehend the nature of their power, couldn't understand how mere love could defeat its cosmic darkness. They reached the center of the pattern, where the prison's main control node pulsed with possibilities. Here, they could reshape the very nature of the containment field, but it would require everything they had learned about each other, every aspect of their unique union. "Are you certain?" Naira's mental touch was tender. "Once we begin, the change will be irreversible. You will never be fully human again." Liam answered by pulling her into a kiss that sent ripples of power across the desert. Their auras merged completely, bodies glowing with shared energy. Through their link, he sent his complete acceptance, his joy at their transformation, his love that transcended species and space and time. The prison responded to their union. The geometric pattern began to shift, ancient technology adapting to accommodate their new form of power. The very structure of the containment field evolved, becoming something that drew strength from their connection rather than simply storing guardian energy. Their consciousness expanded to encompass the entire prison complex. They were aware of every seal, every quantum lock, every dimensional barrier. The entity raged against its bonds, but those bonds were changing, becoming unbreakable channels that converted its own darkness into light. At the height of the transformation, their unified being touched something vast and eternal. For a moment, they understood why the Guardians had chosen Earth, why Naira had been sent, why everything had led to this precise moment. The universe itself had conspired to bring them together, to create something that had never existed before. The sealing process reached its crescendo. Light exploded from their joined forms, rippling out across the Sahara in waves of gold and purple. The desert sands shifted, revealing glimpses of the transformed prison beneath, no longer just a containment system, but a living extension of their combined power. When the light faded, they stood wrapped in each other's arms at the center of the new pattern. The prison hummed with stable energy, powered by the eternal connection they shared. Even if they left, even if centuries passed, their love would maintain the seals. "It's done," Liam said, though the words seemed inadequate to describe what they had accomplished. "No, my love." Nira's eyes shimmered with joy and possibility. "It's just beginning." Around them, the desert had been transformed. Patches of green had sprouted from the sand, the first signs that their power was healing the land the entity had corrupted. The night sky seemed brighter, clearer, as if darkness itself had been purified. But more importantly, they had been transformed. What had begun as an accidental meeting between human and guardian had become something entirely new, something that would change both their worlds forever. Dawn broke over a transformed desert. Where there had been only endless sand, patches of green life now sprouted in spiral patterns that echoed the prison's geometric structure. Liam and Naira stood atop a dune, watching the sunrise paint the sky in colors that seemed more vivid through their enhanced senses. "The council will have felt what we've done," Nira said, her hand finding his. Their energies mingled automatically now, a constant exchange that felt as natural as breathing. "They'll be coming to investigate. Your people," Liam sent through their link. "Will they understand what we've become?" The question carried layers of meaning. Through their connection, he could sense her uncertainty. The Guardians were bound by ancient protocols, strict hierarchies. What they had created, this fusion of human and Guardian essence, was unprecedented. They will have to adapt, as we have. Naira turned to face him, her pale green skin catching the morning light. "What we achieved here wasn't just about sealing the prison. We've proven that humans and Guardians can be more together than apart." A sound like distant thunder rolled across the desert, but Liam's enhanced senses recognized it as something else, the quantum displacement of multiple ships entering Earth's atmosphere. The council had arrived faster than expected. Through their shared consciousness, they watched as 3 crystalline vessels descended from the clouds. Their design was organic, almost liquid, reflecting the same aesthetic principles Liam had seen in Naira's memories. They landed in a triangle formation around the central prison seal. "They're scanning us," Naira sent, her grip on his hand tightening. "They've never encountered an energy signature quite like ours." Figures emerged from the ships, tall, ethereal beings that glowed with internal light. Their forms were similar to Naira's original Guardian appearance, but more varied in color and pattern. Through their link, Liam recognized them as members of the Guardian High Council. The lead Guardian approached, its form shifting between different states of matter. "Nira, honored scout of the 3rd quantum frequency, your signal has been silent for centuries. We feared you lost." "I endured, High One." Naira's mental tone was respectful but firm, and in doing so, discovered something the Council never anticipated. The Guardian's attention turned to Liam, its sensory apparatus expanding to analyze him more thoroughly. "We detect Guardian essence integrated at the quantum level. This should not be possible." "Many impossible things have become possible." Liam spoke both verbally and mentally, demonstrating his transformation. "Your prison was failing. The entity nearly escaped. Traditional methods would have failed to contain it." The council members communicated in rapid bursts of quantum information. Liam could follow their discussion through his connection with Naira. Surprise, concern, curiosity, and something approaching awe as they examined the transformed prison system. The containment protocols have been completely rewritten, another council member observed. The entity's own energy is being converted, purified. How? Through the power of connection. Naira's free hand rose to cup Liam's cheek. Where they touched, their combined energy flared visibly. Human consciousness united with guardian essence creates something greater than the sum of its parts, a power the entity cannot corrupt because it cannot understand it. The council's discussion grew more intense. Through their link, Liam and Naira could sense the implications rippling through Guardian society. If humans and Guardians could truly join like this, centuries of isolation protocols would need to be reconsidered. There will be those who oppose this, the lead Guardian said finally, who will see it as a dilution of our essence, a threat to our way of life. Then they're welcome to study the results, Liam replied, gesturing to the transformed desert around them. The prison isn't just sealed, it's evolving, growing stronger, and it's powered by something that can't fade or be corrupted. To demonstrate, he pulled Naira into an embrace. Their energy fields merged instantly, creating a display of power that made even the council members step back. The desert responded to their union, more patches of green sprouting from the sand. Through their connection, Naira sent a wave of love and pride. Together they had changed everything, not just for themselves, but for both their species. The boundaries between human and guardian would never be quite so rigid again. The council's verdict would come soon. But standing there in the dawn light, holding each other as their power transformed the desert around them, neither Liam nor Naira felt any doubt about their future. They had transcended the limitations of their original forms, becoming something new, something wonderful. And this was only the beginning. 1 year had transformed the Sahara beyond recognition. The prison's energy, filtered through Liam and Naira's love, had restored life to the ancient desert. Their home, a blend of Guardian crystal technology and human design, sat at the center of a blooming oasis that attracted scientists and mystics from both worlds. Liam stood on their balcony, watching Guardian ships shimmer in and out of reality as they delivered another group of researchers. His transformed senses could perceive the quantum trails they left, beautiful patterns in space-time that faded like ripples in a pond. Still adapting to the traffic? Nira's arms slipped around him from behind, her touch sending familiar waves of pleasure through their shared energy field. Her pale green skin glowed softly in the twilight, a counterpoint to the iridescent patterns that now marked his own transformed flesh. Remembering when this was all empty sand, he sent through their link, when I thought I was just hunting for ancient artifacts. Instead, you found me. Her lips brushed his neck, sending sparkles of light cascading over both their forms. Though I think I found you just as much. Their connection deepened automatically, sharing memories of that first meeting, the stasis pod opening, her awakening, the gradual discovery of what they could become together. Now their union was studied by both species, proof that humans and Guardians could achieve something greater through love than either civilization had managed alone. The Guardian Council had eventually embraced their transformation, though not without debate. The success of the prison's redesign was undeniable. Where once it had required constant power to contain the entity, now it generated its own energy through the purification of darkness into light. Other Guardian outposts had begun implementing similar protocols, adapted from the template of Liam and Naira's bond. Marcus asked to see us again, Naira sent, her thoughts tinged with concern. The rehabilitation center says he's making progress. Liam nodded. After being purged of the entity's influence, his old rival had struggled to come to terms with what he'd almost unleashed. But the same power that had transformed the prison was helping to heal his corrupted mind. We'll go tomorrow, he decided. Show him how the oasis has grown. Their attention turned to the horizon, where the last rays of sunset painted the sky in impossible colors. Through their shared senses, they could perceive layers of reality beyond human sight, the quantum framework of existence itself, made visible by their combined essence. The entity stirs sometimes, Naira mused. I feel it testing the barriers, trying to understand what contains it. Let it wonder. Liam turned in her embrace, drawing her into a kiss that sent ripples of power across the oasis. Plants bloomed in response, their growth accelerated by the overflow of energy. Some things can't be understood, only felt. Their auras merged more fully, golden light intertwining with purple in elaborate patterns. After a year of unity, their joining was effortless. Two beings flowing together like water, sharing thoughts and sensations across multiple dimensions of existence. The Council wants us to help establish more outposts, Naira sent between kisses, other places where humans and guardians can learn to work together. As long as we're together. Liam's hands traced the familiar contours of her form, each touch generating new patterns of light. Everything else is just details. Above them, stars began to emerge in the desert sky. But they saw more than just points of light. Their enhanced vision revealed the vast networks of guardian outposts, the quantum highways that connected distant worlds. Earth was beginning to take its place in that network, thanks in part to what they had proven was possible. Their love had done more than seal a prison or unite two beings. It had opened a door between civilizations, shown a path towards something greater than either humans or guardians had imagined. The entity's darkness had sought to corrupt and destroy, but their light had transformed destruction into creation. "What do you think we'll become?" Naira wondered, her form shifting slightly as she embraced her more ethereal nature. "We're still changing, still evolving." "Something new," Liam smiled, his own form adapting to match hers. "Something wonderful." Their kiss deepened as the stars wheeled overhead. Energy spiraled out from their union, touching the prison deep beneath the desert sands. The entity's darkness twisted away from their light, unable to comprehend the power of what they shared. The oasis bloomed around them, life spreading across the ancient desert. Guardian ships glittered in the night sky like new constellations. And in their joined consciousness, Liam and Naira saw countless possible futures unfolding, each one bright with the promise of what love could achieve. They had rewritten the rules of two civilizations, proved that boundaries were meant to be transcended. But more importantly, they had found each other across the vast distances of space and time. Everything else, the power, the transformation, the legacy they were building, was simply a natural extension of that one simple truth. Their love had changed worlds. But for Liam and Naira, wrapped in each other's arms as their combined energy lit up the desert night, the greatest miracle remained the love itself.